Welcome to the Bubblewrap Podcast. I'm Ashley Walker from HSE Advice UK, and we're here to protect your business and make safety pop. Welcome to Bubblewrap. We've got another episode. We've got Liz in today from Keane HR. I love doing guest interviews. Well, it's not really an interview, it's more just us chatting about important stuff. Yeah, so welcome.
Thank you.
Is this your first podcast?
It is.
It is, yeah.
I try not to think about it too much.
It's a bit weird.
Yeah.
It is weird, like camera and people watching, because we can't talk to these people.
No.
So no one knows they're there.
No, I was quite looking forward to it.
Good. Well, I'm glad you've come on.
Thank you.
Because we've got really important stuff to talk about.
Definitely.
My gosh.
Definitely. Yes, obviously the Labour government now getting in, and the New Deal for working people is massive. I had the laborious task earlier in the week of sitting down and reading through the manifesto. I mean, it's
But you actually read the full?
I read the full. There's a lot of detail in there.
Yeah.
And certainly around, employers, working people, all the things that they want to do to change. But, the potential cost on small employers especially is potentially huge. So whilst, there's a lot of talk about the changes to things like banning 0 hours contracts.
Yeah, that's a big chat at the moment. Everyone's talking about that.
Changes to day one rights, so things like sick pay. So at the minute there's waiting days, sick pay and tribunal claims as well.
Yeah,
so at the minute
I mean they're on the rise anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. And also minimum wage. So they're looking at removing the age bands.
Oh, okay.
So if you're an employer who pays on minimum wage, potentially the costs are huge.
Oh, so everyone will be on the same minimum wage regardless of age?
They don't have one adult rate.
Oh, okay. Right.
So I don't think that's been well publicised.
I don't think so.
But it's in the manifesto.
Right.
So, whether it'll happen, these are the things that they've committed at looking at. But there are things that employers can do, even though we don't know exactly what's going to change and what the detail is going to be.
Or when it'll be enforced.
There are things that employers can start to do. So if you're a company that use 0 hours contracts as an example, you probably need to start modelling how much would it cost to move those onto employee contracts. Could you put them on minimum hours contract? Do you really utilise them as 0 hours contracts?
Yes.
So you probably should be starting to look at that population. Then with the minimum wage, just start to model.
Well, because you're budgeting for your next financial year, you need to know what you're going to be.
So you need to be doing these things now, really, so that you can then put them in your budgets for next year.
So you don't want to be too late in planning that.
Definitely not. And there's lots of modelling that you can do on that. Because if you're a company that have rate differentials between different grades, then obviously you're going to have to model that as well, because if you're bringing people up, there's definitely things that businesses can do.
Oh, good.
To try and prepare.
Because it's scary.
It is.
And I think people are nervous.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I've not looked into it properly as a business owner, and I need to. But with 0 hour contracts, because I've never worked on a 0 hour or had staff on a 0 hour, what benefit are they for organisations anyway?
So if they're used properly with the right intentions, they're not a bad thing.
Right.
I think there's a number of companies who use them as an employee contract. So they won't commit to giving hours, but they're kind of, pulling people in and out, when actually there are full-time, part-time hours that they could have those individuals on.
Right.
Because they don't have exactly the same rights as what
they don't.
an employee would have. No.
Because are they not still in a contract?
So the commitment is the commitment that you would have as an employee, you have to be available for work.
Right.
Whereas with a true 0 hours contract, you don't have to be.
So is it the likes of they bring up the rota for the spare shifts and people can take those spare shifts type? Right.
But there are companies not utilising them in the way that there was the intent, I guess.
So no wonder they want to get rid of that, because it'll put people in a bad position.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
And then when we look at the day one rights, so sick pay as an example, I think if you're a business who has an issue with sickness now,
Yeah.
or even if you don't have an issue, you need to start looking at what is your process for managing people who are off sick, because if those employees do start taking odd days off and they're going to get paid SSP for it,
Yeah.
you know, what are you doing to manage that?
Yeah,
So you need to get on the
yeah.
front. Do you have a policy in place?
I mean, me personally, I don't. Even if they're in their probation, they'd still get sick pay.
SSP.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are waiting days, and they're looking at removing those waiting days, which means they would get it from day one.
See, that's me just not knowing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's how you deal with that absence as well when employees are off sick. When they come back, do you have a sit down and a chat with them?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they should do return to work interviews.
Definitely.
I mean, from a safety perspective,
yeah,
I'd always.
So I think if businesses are just preparing, you know, look at your policies if you've got one. If you haven't got one, you know, maybe look at introducing one. And you know, what is your process around that? So sitting down, you know, making sure that you're having that chat, because sometimes it can put people off taking the day off if they're not genuine, if they know that they've got to sit down and eyeball you when they come back.
Of course.
So
I've never thought about it that way, and that's a behaviour thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. So there's lots of good and right stuff that businesses can be doing. Just to prepare.
Yeah, because it'll be a big change, won't it?
Yeah,
it'll
definitely.
be a big change.
Now another big one is around the fire and rehire. So. Without going into too much detail on it, that's something that Labour are looking to remove.
Okay.
So if you wanted to make a change in a contract, as an example, you have, right now, quite a lot of businesses will follow a process of fire and rehire if they can't get the employee to agree to the amendment. So Labour are looking to remove that altogether.
Okay.
But like I say, the detail on this, we don't know what that is yet.
No details come out yet.
So it's all speculation on what it'll actually look like. But if we think about, you know, the number of small businesses in the UK, so 96% of registered limited company businesses in the UK have less than 50 employees.
Oh wow,
So that is massive.
Gosh, that's huge. And that's on the rise as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's more SMEs registered in the last year than ever before, if I remember that right. So
the very small businesses or micro businesses with between 1 and 9 employees were at about 1.17 million. So that, you know, the number in that bracket, and they're the companies that are less likely to engage with somebody like me, or have somebody in house, because either budgets don't allow, or they just don't think they need it.
I think it's probably the latter, or they just don't know. I think
you're right, you don't know what you don't know, do you?
Because with health and safety, obviously there's like a trigger point with health and safety. When you've got 5 or more employees, that's when our sort of services kick in. But HR, it's not. It's from day dot when you get your first employee.
Exactly,
And I think, I've definitely done it in the past where I've just downloaded a contract from the Google, from the internet, and adapted it. And actually, probably looking at that contract now, it's so not fit for purpose. And I'm totally liable, you know, to anything that could come my way. And claims are going up, aren't they?
They are. So if we look at tribunal claims, so the last survey that CIPD did on this, within that group of companies of less than 50 employees, 50% of the tribunal claims that were put in were from that group of companies.
Gosh, that's significant, because you think it'd be like the really large organisations who people are just a number. And actually, and I think it is because, you know, like you say, they don't know what they don't know, and they don't engage with the right people. So they will rely on, I mean, it just blows my mind, but they will rely on their accountant, office admin, VAs. I mean, I'm even hearing now are picking up HR. Oh, really?
It's just
someone assumed I did HR the other day. I was like, oh no, that is so not my.
And I'd be the same.
I know nothing.
No.
2 very different things. And I know, like, we could work in the same team very well, but we are 2 very different industries, or, you know, professions.
Definitely. And I think it's up to us as professionals to be pushing back on businesses to say, not my area, you need to get a professional in. But quite often they don't. And,
no,
and that's a worry.
I don't know what it is, like what the issue is, whether they think it's going to cost them thousands, or it'll open up a can of worms which they don't want to open.
Yeah.
But to me, it's peace of mind.
Yeah,
you want that
definitely.
peace of mind. I mean,
Definitely.
that's, for safety stuff is, we're very similar. We want to take the weight off people's shoulders, make sure you're compliant, and then, you can focus your time on the stuff to run your business, not employee claim, personal injury claim, I've had an accident, I've got HSE coming in, or, all of that.
I mean, I do feel quite passionate about, supporting that small business community, because I know that they don't have the budgets to pay out, excess charges from people like me. So I am working hard in trying to find ways of making the tools available for those businesses to tap into, which will keep them compliant, but the low cost.
So I will
what
type
to do
of
that.
services do you provide, and what are you looking at for that?
So with the small businesses, I'm looking at what resource can I provide. So what packs and bundles can I produce that you pay once, you've got it for life. Also, something else that I'm working on at the moment is how I can support businesses from a compliance perspective, a bit like a Google for Business. So I'm looking at launching that in September.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, it is, definitely. So
that was a lot of hard work.
I'll have to come back on and talk about that.
Definitely.
But that's something I'm working on. But again, it's low cost. But keeping companies compliant, really.
Low cost, big impact.
Definitely.
And I think so many small businesses out there just need reassurance. And that competent person, here's that stuff, you're not paying a fortune, and I'm always going to be here in the background if you need me.
Definitely. It doesn't cost a lot to follow a process, which a lot of kind of what we do. If you're following the right process, then you should be all right. But actually, if you get caught short on any of that, then potentially costs are massive.
Oh no, I mean, claim culture now, it's really high. I was speaking to someone last year, and they had a pretty bad accident on their site, and I'm hoping that we will work with them in the future, but no one should ever get hurt at work. I'll always say that, there's always something that's failed. But the costs from that accident, I mean, the staff members back at work, working with them, they've not left, they've not, had long-term sick, touch wood, because that does happen a lot. But the physical cost to the company has been an insane amount of money for if they had the risk assessments, the training, supervision in place originally, then it shouldn't have happened and wouldn't have cost the absolute earth.
So do you find that small businesses automatically know that they should be reaching out to a health and safety professional?
Not at all.
Is it a case of, I didn't know that?
So we did a research project with Lancaster Uni last year, and I keep getting it wrong, but I think it's 66% of businesses, and that's only sort of up to 50 employees it was, didn't know any health and safety responsibilities as a business owner. And I kind of try and say the standard thing now. If I meet someone, okay, if you've got 5 or more employees, you need a written health and safety policy, you need written risk assessments that have been briefed to your staff and they understand them, and you need access to a appointed competent person, which is what we do. And it's generally low cost to be that minimum compliant, but they just don't know that. And there's so much health and safety legislation, manual handling, pure, low, there's all sorts, but it's just the HSE at Work Act, management regs is the main where that trigger point is. But saying that, I mean, they're saying the minimum 5 employees, even a sole trader needs to have risk assessments, maybe not written, but what we found recently is we get a lot of sole traders coming to us now that they're going for accreditations, like plumbers, electricians. They want a health and safety accreditation to get on a tender or win commercial work. But as part of that accreditation, they need a appointed health and safety person written, even though it's not in law, but they're then aiming for best practice.
Exactly.
And we've seen a lot of that recently, but again, it's clients pushing that down, filtering it down.
Yeah.
And there's just so much, it's just a minefield.
Yeah, I mean, that's the message I'm trying to push out there, that actually if you build on the right foundations, you know, if you've just taken on your first employee, do the right thing. You know, you talk about best practice, get it right first off, and then you know where you're going then as you start to grow and scale.
Yeah, and you're setting that culture right from the start. You know, inductions.
Yeah.
In my life now, have you got your staff inductions? We might sit them down for 10 minutes when they first start. I'm like, no, if I'm joining your company, I want to know everything about the company, and safety-wise, HR-wise, what policies have you got that I'm covered as an employee, you know, like maternity policy throughout, you know, different places working. I always saw a copy of that, or different things, and you know,
you're supposed to do the risk assessments throughout, you know, each trimester, aren't you, on the with pregnant workers, and companies just don't know that, do they? And they just don't do it, and then, you know,
some don't even do a risk assessment for a pregnant worker.
Okay.
I found.
That's interesting.
And it is, though, when you
scary.
speak to people, it is scary, because I think we just assume that people know, because we do it all day, every day. But how do we get that message out there? Like practical level, you know, like real layman's terms of how to comply, where people are interested and we're not stood talking to them safety speak or HR speak and having a go. It's really tough.
Yeah, it is very tough. But yeah, I mean, if you're like me, you just mention the word, I mention the word HR, and people's eyes just glaze over, and it's like...
You're there to tell me off and sack me.
But not at all. But
it's a funny, don't know, I think it's something we're always going to have a challenge with. But anything like this, like us doing this podcast episode, talking about, you know, the changes that may be coming up, anything to get our message out there and help people.
Yeah,
you
definitely.
know, I don't. Have you got any events coming up soon, or?
No, I haven't at the moment. I'm looking at a couple in September. So I'll probably do a couple of events. I'm looking at working with one of the local councils as well to deliver some workshops for
amazing.
Small business owners. But yeah, you know, I will over the next few months be trying to get out there and just deliver some essential information workshops for just to, you know, try and get the word out there on.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to cost a lot of money.
No. I mean, I went to a really good webinar recently. I think it was a £5, and I got the most brilliant information from it. And also I've done other webinars. So there's the sales lady, Helen T-Bay. She does free webinars, and I've learned so much from them. Just popping on and listening to what she's talking about and how to do certain things. And I mean, I'm not from a sales background. Do health and safety, and learning those skills. I mean,
different world, isn't it?
Never mind running a business, trying to convince people to give their hard-earned money.
No, it's hard.
It's hard. But well, it'd be good if we could do a webinar in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
We could do one together on, if we find out more about the changes when they come out, because there'll be a few health and safety ones as well, no doubt, like the temperatures. But so I'm assuming there will be a maximum working temperature soon, because that comes up every summer. Every summer someone asks me. Yeah,
it'll definitely be a suck it and see. Let's see what comes off the back of it.
Yeah, but one to watch, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe to our channel. All links to our social media are in the description below, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment or message us. Bubblewrap, to protect your business.